Good evening, everyone. Let me see if this mic's on. Welcome to the April 11th meeting for the Glendale Elementary School District Governing Board. Ms. Segato-Jones, do we have any changes to the agenda tonight?
Good evening, President Martinez, members of the board. No, we do not.
All right, with that, is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
I'll make a motion to adopt the agenda.
Second.
Mr. Jaramillo, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Pimentel, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Bartels, how do you vote?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Thank you. Please join me in a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise. All right, Ms. Segato-Jones, do we have any calls to the public this evening?
No, we do not.
Okay. That will move on to the special recognition portion of our agenda, starting with the Just Because Awards. Ms. Segato-Jones?
Yes, we'll step down from the dais to do that. So for those of you that are joining us for the first time, each month we just randomly select a student and we randomly select an employee. And we just want to say on behalf of Gusto, who helped sponsor this, thank you for choosing GSD. So we're going to begin with that. And tonight we have our kindergarten student. His name is Matthew Gallegos, and he's from Sunset Vista. But he's not here this evening. He's about this big, cutest thing you've ever seen. But he couldn't be here tonight, so we'll make sure that Sunset Vista gets his, and if we have the opportunity to invite him back, we'll invite him back. But he was just adorable. Next, we have our staff, and this month our staff is Abigail Apgar, and she's a teacher at American. Abigail, come up with your friends and family and American family. American. I think you were sitting next to her. You need to come up. There you go. There you go. So, Abigail, we're proud that you have chosen. Come on up, American. Come on, family. You're coming up. We're proud that you have chosen GSD. And Abigail, this is how this works, okay? You put this in your front yard when you get home, okay? I'll come by about 10. Are you up at 10? I'll honk. You rung out. Yeah, tomorrow? Great, okay. Well, that is true because I went to surprise Abigail, and she didn't sleep the night before. I'm making this all up. She didn't sleep the night before because when I arrived at American, she was still in her pajamas. And she was humiliated. And I said, it's all right. I'm sure there's a good reason for it because your principal is also in her pajamas. So we were good with that. But they were actually celebrating Autism Month, I believe. Is that correct? So again, but thank you. And you clean up really well. Yeah. Yes, you did. All right, so thank you. We do have other things for you. We have a mosaic taffy. Board member, Just Because. We have GSD chocolate, and we have kindness crayons because we want to promote kindness, but also it's very relaxing and soothing when you color. So again, thank you for choosing GSD. Thank you, and thank you for being a remarkable, amazing teacher. Okay, let's just do family, and the rest of us get out of the way. Thank you, Abigail. Thank you so much. And then we have our monthly attendance. And you'll be happy to know that this month, it's Discovery. And obviously Angelique was too embarrassed to come, so she made Caitlin come. And I do like how the audience, when I said Discovery, you know how everybody, like, they're all excited, and I saw you guys do this. Miss Tara. Yeah. This is when you want to know, what are they thinking in their heads, really, again? But congratulations, Discovery. We're so proud of you. Thank you, Caitlin. Got to get a picture.
All right, moving right along into the consent agenda. Any comments or remarks on the consent agenda items this evening? All right, hearing none, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All right, Mr. Jaramillo, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Pimentel, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Bartels, how do you vote?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Thank you. Moving on to reports and informational items, the Benchmark 3 assessment results. Ms. Segata-Jones.
Yes, at this time, I'm happy to introduce Ms. Norma Haraghi, Assistant Superintendent for Educational Services, and she will be presenting Benchmark 3.
Good evening, Board President Martinez, board members, and our Superintendent Segata-Jones. I'm grateful to be here tonight to present our Benchmark 3 data. In the board update, you got to see the rolling assessment data, and for tonight's presentation, it will be quarter 3 benchmark with our ATI Galileo. So let's get started. Obviously, these results are from March because we took that assessment right before our October break. In these first few charts, you'll see kind of comparison data over time in the last few years and also this year, benchmark to benchmark. You'll see on this chart here, which is overall ELA data, that from benchmark 2 to benchmark 3, we were up on 4 to 6 data points. And from last year, benchmark 3, we were up 6 out of 6 data points. So that's good trajectory when we compare one year to the next for this data. Our next data point is mathematics. And when you compare benchmark 2 this year to benchmark 3 this year, this one doesn't look as good for us within the year because we're only up 2 data points out of 6. But if you compare us to last year around the same time, we're up 5 out of 6, and one of them stayed the same. So really, I would count that as 6 out of 6 because we want to at least keep the same proficiency and move up. In the next slides, you'll see our school comparison data. And something great about this data that you guys all have been mentioning in the last few board meetings when we've done these presentations is that we are really reducing the reds in a lot of areas. So you'll continue to see that in this benchmark 3 data. This is our 3rd grade ELA data. Here is 3rd grade math. And we're just starting to see those reductions in reds for sure. Here is 4th grade ELA. Here is 4th grade math. This is 5th grade ELA. We're seeing a lot of greens too. Our yellows are kind of bumping up to that green mark. Here is 5th grade math. Slowly but surely, we're working on that math. Here is sixth grade ELA. I know our curriculum and instruction department did some work with sixth grade ELA because last time sixth grade ELA was a concern, and they did some work with like close reading strategies and our annotation frames. Everyone was doing that, but there was a particular focus on this grade level, so we're glad to see this gain. Here's sixth grade math. Doesn't look like we want it to look. We definitely need to do some work here. Here is our seventh grade ELA data. Trying to catch up on my paper slides. Here is our seventh grade math data. Math is a big need in middle school, as we've seen. And we have some strategies for next year of what we're going to do to really work on this math data. But, you know, we definitely, and we continue to work on that through this year, but we know we need to continue to put in some very important strategies there. Here's our eighth grade ELA data. And finally, here's our eighth grade math data. And although we are seeing some reds that we don't like to see there, we did have an increase from benchmark 2 to benchmark 3. We put in a few strategies for our schools that were struggling, so we were glad to see some growth here. All right, next up are our diverse populations. We're going to start with our English language arts for ELL students. We have a similar sort of data chart here as you saw earlier. What you'll see is if you compare benchmark 2 from this school year to benchmark 3 from this school year, we are up or the same in 5 out of 6 categories. If we compare from last year, around the same time, we are up 5 out of 6 areas. So our English language learners are making some progress here. Obviously, we want to see more progress. Here's our math data for our English language learners. From benchmark 2 to benchmark 3, and for math, we do not assess the same standards, so every benchmark are different standards. So that's something important to note. We did increase only 2 areas out of 6. Obviously, those are new standards every quarter, so we're always trying to make sure that the students have proficiency in all the math. And then and from last year to this year, benchmark 3, and the pacing guide was pretty much the same from last year to this year, we see 5 areas that increased out of 6. So we're definitely seeing, that's what we want to see is from year to year, we're improving our instructional program. So we definitely like to see that data go up. Now we're going to look at English language arts with our students with disabilities. And you will see from benchmark 2 to benchmark 3, we improved in 4 out of 6 areas. And from last year's data, around the same time, we improved 5 out of 6. Did I not move it to the next one? No, okay, math. Now we're going to look at math. This is math for our students with disabilities. When we look at benchmark 2 to benchmark 3, we only improved in 2 out of 6 areas. When you look at last year to this year, we improved 5 out of 6 areas. So we're seeing some gain there. Here in ELA for our gifted population of students, you'll see from benchmark 2 to benchmark 3 this year, we stayed the same or increased in 5 out of 6 areas. And from last year, we increased in 3 out of 6 areas. So we definitely want to watch these numbers for our students who are at or above grade level or are gifted in a certain area. We want to pay a little bit more attention to that as we move forward. For our gifted students in mathematics, We will see that from benchmark 2 to benchmark 3 this year, we increased or stayed the same in 4 out of 6 areas. And from last year to this year, we increased or stayed the same 6 out of 6 areas, so that's good. And that's kind of it for our data for benchmarks. What are we doing about all of this data? Well, some of the items that you'll see here are things that we are continuing to do with our teachers, with our principals. Something that we've been doing from March until now, really to get ready for AASA, is having passports, using data trackers, looking at the data from benchmark 3 to refine our strategies and standards and what do we need to focus on. So our teachers have been working very diligently on that. We've been to several schools where they're using their passports and looking at their proficiency from previous benchmarks and then showing the kids, okay, you can do it. And they put little stars or they show, I'm almost there. So our kids and principals and teachers are working very diligently. We're in the middle of AASA testing. So that's happening from, science, and then we are writing, and some schools are starting with the reading and math portions, definitely into next week. So we're kind of in the thick of testing right now, but we're very optimistic about our data as we move forward. And the next data that we'll be sharing with you is letter grade data coming in the fall. So we're very excited about how our schools are doing and the work that they're putting in. That's it for my presentation. Do you guys have any questions or anything that you're wondering about?
Any questions from the board?
Thank you, Ms. Hadegay.
Thank you very much.
All right, moving on to action item 6B, meet and confer recommendations. I understand we have a YouTube video.
Yes, at this time, I'd like to turn over to Ms. Debbie Valadez. Oh, sorry. We're out of order. We need to go to A, board meeting calendar.
Did I skip one? I
Yeah,
did.
A.
Okay, my bad.
So on this one, what you have is the recommended calendar for the 24-25 school year
Yep.
for board meetings.
All right. Are there any dates that immediately jump out to anybody?
Yes, my birthday.
Then you better be here. We'll have cake, sir. Please put in the notes to decorate Hector's seat for his birthday. All right. All right. If there's no other discussion, is there a motion to approve the board meeting calendar for next fiscal year?
I'll make a motion to approve the governing board meetings calendar for the 24-25 school year.
I'll second that.
Mr. Jaramillo, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Pimentel, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Bartels, how do you vote?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. All right, now we're moving on to 6B, meet and confer recommendations.
Yes, at this time, I'll turn over to Ms. Debbie Valadez.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the board, and Superintendent Segata Jones. I have with me Elizabeth Seifter and Andrea Arellano. I'm going to be turning it over to them in just a second. I'm just going to share a little bit of data. So we completed the meet and confer process. We're very proud of ourselves. We facilitated ourselves once again this year without an outside facilitator, which was a big transition for us last year, but we were successful, so we did it again, and again, very proud of our success. We took the recommendations out to vote and right after spring break, so March 27th, and they were due back by April 4th. I would like to share that we had 724 responses. They were 98% were yes, in favor of the recommendations. 1%, 1.5 were no with the recommendations. I just want to share too that we had 724 this year, and just going back 2 years, our 21-22 school year, we had 490 people respond. Then last year we had 678, and so this year 724. So we're very excited that people are out there voting and looking at our recommendations. So now I'm going to turn it over to Elizabeth and Andrea, and they will share some more information with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Board President Martinez, members of the board, and Superintendent Scott Jones. We just wanted to thank the members of the Meet and Confer team before we turn over to the video. So we're just going to read off their names and thanks for all of their work that they have done this school year. We'll start with Andrea Ariano, Miss Sarah Balder, who's in the audience, Michaela Bubach, who was our recorder, Shannon Gleave, Amanda Markowitz, Stephanie Hopelman,
Norma Howdigy, Norma Howdigy, who was also a member, Jackie Kemsley, Noemi Ramos, Elizabeth Seifter, and Debbie Valadez.
and I guess we will watch the video. Hi, my name is Elizabeth Seifter, and I'm a middle school social studies teacher and the president of the Glendale Education Association.
Hi everyone, my name is Andrea Ariano, and I'm the director for Social Emotional Learning and Mental Health Services.
Andrea and I are here today to present the 2024 Meet and Confer recommendations. First, we would like to thank all Meet and Confer representatives who represent all GSD schools and departments.
All right, let's jump into agreements. The first agreement, schools will have a protocol for mid-year needs. Next, all employee groups will review and communicate their training and professional development plans. Next, if funds are available, continue the class size stipend for classes that are over the standard. Also, include special education self-contained classrooms.
Next, if funds are available, have a sliding scale retention longevity stipend. 0 to 4 years with GSD, up to 8%, 5 to 9 years with GSD, up to 9%, 10 plus years with GSD, up to 10%. The percentage separation must be differentiated in a balanced approach between the tiers in order to avoid gross disparities between the sliding scales. For example, having a 1 or 2 percentage difference in a sequential order would be appropriate. Next, research options for EAs who cover classrooms in emergency situations.
Next agreement, administration will assign 1 full day or 2 half days as teacher work days during Teacher Welcome Back Week. Next, for the 24-25 school year, maintain the current pay for performance amounts. Future pay for performance amounts will increase or decrease proportionately based on state funding.
We will next go into some recommendations that are currently in process. The CUTS program will be revisited with training provided to sites. Provide professional development opportunities for all staff regarding age-appropriate trauma and social and emotional strategies for students and staff. Standardize how safety committees gather concerns and communicate with staff. Create a standard new hire checklist to ensure that all new staff feel welcomed and integrated into campus. Investigating a daycare at the System of Care Center that can be utilized by staff. Continue to work with salary consultants to create a plan for hourly position promotions and continue decompression analysis.
That concludes our presentation. Now it's time to vote. Scan the QR code to vote now. Voting must be completed by Thursday, April 4th, 2024, and your vote counts.
If you do have any questions or comments, you'll have an opportunity to share those when you scan the QR code to vote.
Thank you.
Have a great rest of your year.
That concludes the video. Are there any questions?
Mr. President, just congratulations on getting so many people involved. Going from around 400 to 700 is pretty amazing. So I'm excited about that. And I like the idea of investigating a daycare because my colleagues at Cartwright like to rub it in my face that they have a daycare. I'm like, all right. So this is pretty cool to hear. No questions, really, just thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I'd like to add to that for the time that I've been here, it's been a journey. And I said it last year, and I'll say it again this year, I really appreciate the work that the two of you have spearheaded along with Ms. Valadez and the rest of this team, and the over 700 votes that you've gotten and the 98%, that's incredible. Hats off to you both and the whole team. I love seeing that this is a great place to be. Thank you for your work.
All right. I don't have any questions. Thank you for all of your work. Thank you to all of your team for, I know, putting in the hours and getting those recommendations together is a tough job and coming together, and then getting a great response from the staff of the district. So good work. Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the meet and confer recommendations for the employee compensation and benefits for the 2024-2025 school year as presented.
And I'll second that.
Mr. Jaramillo, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Pimentel, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Bartels, how do you vote?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Thank you. All right. Future meetings and agenda items requests. What do we have coming up for the next couple of months here, Ms. Segarra-Jones?
Yes, President Martinez, we do have April 25th special meeting. That meeting will bring all the policies, the revisions to policies. With that also, the land acknowledgement that was mentioned by Board Member Jaramillo last time. We have that out for interpretation from the attorney to see what that looks like. And so that will come, because that would have to be a change in policy of the board agenda items, how it's listed if the board decides to go in that direction. So those things will be on there April 25th. And team, do you have anything in particular, Mike?
Mr. President, members of the board, Superintendent Segarra-Jones, the trust board will be hearing some of the other self-insured programs Wednesday, which the goal would be to have it on your agenda at the end of the month so that we could hit the timelines for open enrollment.
All right. Any questions?
Yes. And will that take the normal 3 readings or 2 readings to adjust?
We'll do the first read and then second read. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on in our agenda, the summary of current events. Ms. Segarra-Jones.
Yes, at this time I do want to recognize that the artwork is Desert Garden, Desert Spirit in the back, so thank you for the beautiful work, art and curriculum work that's up there. Just a reminder, again, it was National Assistant Principal Week last week. All the amazing assistant principals, thank you for what you do every day. And it's National Autism Month, so thank you for taking time to recognize our staff that provides wonderful services to our students with autism, but also just keeping autism aware in the community is important. National School Library Day took place, so thank you to all of our librarians and clerks that do a wonderful job. Next week is the week of the young child, so we'll be focused on our early childhood and the importance of that. We had last week the All-Star College basketball game. We were able to send Smith, Burton, and Landmark. They attended because they participated in the Final Four reading program, and so they got to go down on the court, and it was quite, if you've seen it on Twitter, I put it on Twitter or X, so we were excited for those schools and the opportunities it gave our students. Kindergarten registration, we had the kickoff of that. You've seen that. We're doing that. And then we had community band night. And then, of course, I had the pleasure of traveling with the board to NSBA, and we were, I was anyway, humbled to hear about the story of Ruby Bridges and the work that she's done as a civil rights activist. With that, that concludes my report.
All right, thank you. Starting down again, Mr. Jaramillo, what's new with you?
I'll keep it short, but happy Autism Month. As some of you know, I worked with kids with autism. I did one-on-one work with them. They are some of the best, sweetest children that I have ever met in my life. And, you know, kudos to those working with kids with special needs. They have a special place in my heart, and I'm sure in all of your hearts as well.
All right, Ms. Pimentel.
I'd like to again thank the team for this contract information. This is, I mean, really hats off to you. I don't know how to drive it home enough. As our superintendent noted, we attended NSBA and we had some amazing speakers in Ruby Bridges. I mean, just such an icon. And Timothy Shriver, who was just hearing part of his story was amazing. And part of the reason I'm here is because of a special needs son. and telling what he had to say, relating it to my story, really kind of hit home for me. And then the Hot Cheetos guy, Richard Montañez, which if you haven't seen the movie Flamin' Hot, I think it's called, it's really an amazing story about not giving up and not quitting. And it kind of sounds silly, the Hot Cheetos guy, but it's great to hear from him. And he really persevered, he and his family, and he made it, and he really gives back a lot. So we have a bunch of books to read and have fun watching a movie, but I'm done.
Flaming Hot is streaming on Disney Plus for those of you that are interested in knowing. I had to look it up. Ms. Bartels.
I am glad that we got the recommendations all squared away, and it has been a journey to see so many people reflecting and voting on that, because I know that was a concern years ago as well. Now, for those of you that know me, when I commit to attending an event, it takes a lot for me to not be there, and I have to do a shout out to Board President Martinez and Board Member Pimentel for ensuring that I ate on the day that I kind of went down for the count. So there was a lot of valuable information. Ruby Bridges just shocked me because we're so familiar with that photo of her, but to realize that her name wasn't known until the 90s just blew me away, because you feel like you know her. So that's about it. I'm just excited for the fun stuff coming up for the rest of the year.
We're going to close it out strong. All right. Again, great time at NSBA, great keynote speakers. I really loved hearing about the Hot Cheetos guy. Ruby Bridges is a great sort of just conversational talk. They just have sort of fireside chat about it. Of course, it's a little weird because she was only 6 years old at the time. So there's a lot of those memories that are lost, but there's still experiences that happen. And one of the things that she had said that when she walked into that building, there was a teacher that came up to her and made her truly feel loved and made her truly feel that it was safe to be there. Despite everything that was going on outside of that building, knowing that there was somebody at that school that looked out for her. And that's what a lot of you people do. So congratulations. You make that impact, even if they're only 6 years old. I guarantee you it will stick with them for the rest of their lives. A lot of stuff coming up. Wellness Fair next week, April 17th. So go check that out. That's always a lot of cool things. I forgot to mention, Marianne is the only board member that couldn't attend NSBA with us. So if you remember, for Board Appreciation Month, we got these little bitty cardboard cutouts, so we flat Stanley'd Marianne wherever we went. So Marianne lived vicariously through us as we hit Bourbon Street and Frenchman Street and everything else, did cemetery tours and stuff, and we took Marianne wherever we went.
She enjoyed some beignets.
So yes, and we dipped her head in powdered sugar. So when she comes back, we'll have plenty of experiences to share with her. And then before I close it out, I just want to remind everybody, your taxes are due on Monday. So I haven't done mine yet because I owe money, so I will probably do those this weekend. So if you're like me, make sure you get those done this weekend because the tax man does not forgiveth. With that,
Mr. Martinez, if we can, I know that we've announced them and they raised their hand in the audience, but the members of Meet and Confer, some of them are actually here. Could you just all stand? Because that was every Wednesday for a lot of Wednesdays. So please stand, all of our Meet and Confer. Ms. Valadez, you are part of that team? Thank you. We do appreciate the work that you do. I don't know if everybody understands how many Wednesdays and how many hours that is. And again, thank you for the recommendations and the work that you do. Mr. Jaramillo, I was going to let this go, but I'm not. You stated that from another district, they kind of rub in your face that they have an employee daycare. Your superintendent started the first employee daycare in that district, and I ran it for 9 years. You can rub that in their face.
all right, with that, is there a motion to adjourn?
Well, I'm going to do a shout out, happy birthday to my youngest child, and I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Have a great evening.